The plague was not a time of silence. There were sounds all around me, rattling chains, desperate screams, and the stench of rotting flesh, but also whispers. Strange whispers that carried secrets on the wind. These are their stories. I am the last scribe of the Grey Order, and these are the final chronicles of the Grey Havens, the last bastion of hope against the creeping darkness that threatens to consume our world. All around us, the plague has ravaged the land, twisting men into monsters and leaving entire villages naught but silent husks. Even now, I hear the rattling chains of carts bearing the sick and dying away from the city walls, their coughs echoing across the empty countryside. The plague has taken so much from me. It stole my parents when I was still but a babe. It stole my voice when I was yet an innocent child. And it nearly stole my life when I was a fledgling scribe learning the ways of the Order. But now, it seems as though it may take everything else from me. For the whispers have grown ever louder in my ears, and the darkness at the edge of my vision ever more clear. I can feel its icy fingers creeping up my spine, whispering sweet nothings about oblivion and nothingness. But I will resist. For as long as I have life, I will continue to record these chronicles, to bear witness to the plague years and all who suffered them. My only hope is that one day they will find this tower, that someone will discover my story and understand the true horror of the plague, the real face of our enemy. For what we face is not simply a plague or a sickness or some act of God, but something far worse, something that seeks only to spread misery and despair. And though the end may be nigh, the fight is not yet over. This is the tale of the first plague summer. The sun beat down on the parched earth, baking the mud and straw huts of the market district until they were as hard as stone. Not even a whiff of rain could we smell, only the reek of stale waste and decaying animals. Everywhere we looked, the people were dropping like flies. The morning after the butcher's daughter had fallen, we sent Brother Thomas to collect the tithe from his family. He returned with the grim tidings that they too had been taken by the fever. But he brought back more than that. He brought back news of a whisper, a strange sound that had haunted the dreams of the butcher's wife and seeped into the waking hours of the town. A whisper that spoke of death and decay and the coming darkness. This was how we first heard of the whisperers. Now, such rumors were nothing new to us scribes. Every harvest festival, every traveling merchant brought tales of strange happenings in distant lands. Tales of beasts and spirits that prowled the night, stealing children and driving men insane. Yet never before had we heard such reports from within our own city walls. So we paid heed to Thomas' warning and kept a sharp ear out for any unnatural sounds after nightfall. We were not disappointed. That very night, as the plague claimed yet another victim, we heard it, a low, mournful sound that seemed to drift through the cracks in the tower walls. At first we thought it but the wind playing tricks upon us, for there were few sounds more common in these plague years than the sigh of the wind whistling through shattered windows and crumbling towers. Yet as the weeks passed, the sound grew ever more frequent, more distinct, and we came to know that it was neither the wind nor any natural phenomenon, but the whisperers themselves, creatures of nightmare that slithered through the shadows, reaping souls for the darkness. How do I know this? Because one night we caught one. It happened during the second plague summer. The heat was a living thing that year, and the days stretched on endlessly, each one the same as the last, each one filled with the stench of death and the rattle of chains. The nights were no respite, for the whisperers grew bolder then, their voices carrying on the night breeze like the lament of lost souls. Then one night, as the moon hung heavy in the sky and the full force of the heat shimmered above the parched fields, we heard a different sound, a splash, a struggle, and then a scream that tore through the night like a banshee's wail. But there was no beast to be seen, only footprints in the soft mud, tracks that ended abruptly at the water's edge. When we turned to leave, my foot struck something hard in the mud. I bent to pick it up and found a small, intricately carved whistle, the likes of which I had never seen before. And though it was crafted of the finest wood and silver, it was utterly without charm. It felt cold in my hand, like a snake's skin. And that was when I knew that we were not dealing with mere superstition. The plague had already claimed enough of us. If we were to lose faith now, there would be nothing left to save us. So we held fast to our vigil, watching, waiting. It took less than a fortnight for the whisperers to return to the riverbank. Again, we were prepared. As they crept closer, their whispers growing louder with each step, we made our presence known. They scattered, slithering back into the darkness from whence they came. And yet, despite our victory, fear gnawed at my heart, for I knew that we had only delayed the inevitable. One night, soon after, we heard their whispers slithering through the tower walls. And when dawn broke, we found 5 of our brethren lying dead in the courtyard, their bodies contorted as if in pain, their eyes wide and staring. And beside them lay a small pile of pebbles, each one marked with the symbol of the serpent, the sign of the whisperer. Then we knew that we could not hide forever, that the whisperers would not rest until they had claimed us all. We had to fight, but how could we defeat something we could not even see? We were about to find out. The battle with the whisperers raged throughout that plague winter. Each night they crept closer, their whispers slithering through the cracks in our walls, trying to break our wills. But we held fast, drawing strength from our shared purpose and the memory of those we had lost. Yet they never attacked during the day. They always waited until nightfall, until the world was cloaked in darkness and the full force of the plague fever gripped the land. Why did they wait until then? Perhaps because the plague gave them strength. Perhaps because they reveled in the misery of our world, or perhaps because the darkness was their ally, just as it was our enemy. For whatever reason, we knew that we could not prevail during the day, so we spent our waking hours preparing for the coming night. We sharpened stakes and blessed holy water, each one determined to give our all for the grey havens and the light of God. Then we watched, waited, prayed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the air grew heavy with anticipation. We could feel the whisperers gathering in the darkness beyond our walls, their whispers rising in volume, their evil growing stronger with each passing moment. Then, as the last sliver of daylight faded from the sky, they struck. They came from every direction, slithering through the shadows like snakes, their whispers now a cacophony of hate and despair. We fought back, splashing holy water, chanting prayers, driving them back with the stakes. But they were relentless, their forms growing clearer in the firelight, taking shape as gaunt, emaciated figures with eyes like burning coals. We fought until our arms were sore, until our voices were hoarse. And slowly, surely, we drove them back. By the time the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, we had won. But at what cost? 5 more of our number lay dead in the courtyard, their bodies twisted and broken. As I knelt beside them, I heard a whisper slithering through my ear, a voice that promised me power and knowledge if I would only listen. I resisted, clutching a holy water vial to my chest, but the voice persisted, growing louder, more insistent. It told me things I could not have known, things about the plague, about the whisperers, about the darkness that was our true enemy. And as it whispered, I understood. The plague was not a random act of God. It was a weapon wielded by the whisperers to weaken our world, to bring it to its knees before they made their move. The whisperers themselves were not creatures of this world, but beings of shadow and nightmare that fed on misery and despair. And their goal was nothing less than the total destruction of our world. Then I understood why they had come to Greyhaven. We were the last bastion of hope in this dying world, the last barrier between the darkness and the light. And if they could break us, they would plunge all of creation into eternal night. There could be no peace, no respite, We would fight the Whisperers again and again for all eternity. Yet I knew that our numbers were dwindling, that our supplies were running low, that we could not hold out forever. So I did something desperate. I closed my eyes, embraced the darkness, and listened to the whispers. Oh, what did I learn in those dark moments? What secrets did the darkness reveal to me? Find out next time when I, the last scribe of the Grey Order, continue the chronicles of the Plague Years and tell the tale of our final stand against the Whisperers.